You're fired? Consider it my wedding gift to you. I'm staring at this text message on my phone, still wearing my tuxedo, boutonniere pinned to my lapel. My new wife Claire is adjusting her dress in the church vestibule, and I'm reading the worst professional news of my life. Just said I do 20 minutes ago to the woman I love, and Brady Foster, my boss's 31-year-old son, decides this is the perfect moment to terminate my employment. My name's Hank Steele, I'm 49, and until that text message, I was the senior project manager at Foster Construction in Phoenix, Arizona. Built my reputation over 22 years in this business, specializing in infrastructure that actually keeps people safe. Bridges that don't collapse under AASHTO HS20 loading standards. Schools that exceed IBC seismic requirements for seismic design Category D. Housing developments where working families can sleep without worrying about foundation settlements exceeding 1-inch differential. I show the message to Claire. She reads it, and instead of the shock I expected, she smiles. Actually smiles, takes my phone, kisses my cheek, and whispers, "Check your messages later, honey. Today belongs to us." How can she be so calm? I just lost my job as senior PM at the biggest construction firm in Arizona, the position I'd worked myself to exhaustion for, calculating load distributions and soil-bearing capacities until my eyes burned. But something in Claire's eyes tells me she knows something I don't. So I pocket the phone and walk with my wife through those church doors into a shower of rice and congratulations. 3 hours into the reception, Claire's sister Diane rushes over with wide eyes. "Hank, your phone won't stop buzzing. You've got 108 missed calls." I check the screen. Calls from job sites, from crew foremen, and 17 from a number I know by heart. Walter Foster, the company owner himself. Brady's father. That's when I realized this isn't just a firing, this is the beginning of something much bigger than I could have imagined. See, I'd been at Foster Construction for 8 years, worked my way up from site supervisor to senior PM. Walter Foster was old school, built the company with his hands, and understood that proper construction means following every OSHA 1926 safety protocol, every AISC 360 steel specification, every ACI 318 concrete standard to the letter. He hired me because I had the same philosophy. Plus, I developed a proprietary system for calculating load distributions using finite element analysis that saved the company 25% on materials while maintaining safety factors of 2.5 or higher. Then came Brady. Fresh out of Arizona State's business school, no real construction experience, but daddy's boy with big ideas about streamlining operations and cutting unnecessary redundancies. 3 months ago, Walter announced his semi-retirement and promoted Brady to operations director, my direct supervisor. The atmosphere changed immediately. Where Walter respected my experience with post-tensioned concrete and seismic retrofitting, Brady saw me as an obstacle to his efficiency metrics. Where Walter understood that safety protocols exist because construction accidents kill 1,008 workers annually according to BLS statistics, Brady saw them as profit drains affecting his quarterly targets. When I scheduled mandatory safety briefings covering OSHA 1926.95 fall protection requirements for new hires, Brady canceled them as time wasters. When I insisted on proper grade 60 rebar specifications meeting ASTM A615 standards, Brady questioned whether we were over-engineering projects and eating into margins. I met Claire during this transition period. She worked as a municipal building inspector for the city of Phoenix, the woman behind the permit desk who actually took time to verify that submitted plans met 2018 IBC requirements instead of just rubber stamping them. We connected over blueprint discussions about shear wall configurations, then coffee breaks where we debated lateral load resistance systems, then dinner dates where we talked about the responsibility that comes with stamping drawings that affect public safety. What I didn't know then was that Claire had been noticing concerning patterns in submissions from Foster Construction, specifically projects Brady had overseen personally. Load paths being simplified without engineering justification. Safety margins reduced below ACI 318 minimums. Structural steel connections altered after professional engineer approval without wet stamps. 6 months into our relationship, I proposed. We planned a quick wedding because we're both practical people who didn't need extravagance, and honestly because I sensed my position at Foster was becoming precarious. Brady had been making comments about modernizing our workforce and bringing in fresh perspectives, code words every experienced construction manager recognizes. I never imagined he'd actually fire me on my wedding day. The trigger was simple and dangerous. Yesterday morning, Brady brought me revised specifications for the Ahwatukee Affordable Housing Project, 240 units, designed for working families. The plans showed reduced 4 rebar spacing in foundation walls from 12 inches on center to 18 inches on center, substituting ASTM 36 steel for the specified A992 grade, and eliminating expansion joints that compensate for Arizona's 60-degree temperature swings. I refused to sign off. These modifications reduce the structural capacity by 40%. I told him, pointing to my calculations. We're building for families with children. The soil report shows expansive clay with a plasticity index of 35. Without proper reinforcement and expansion control, these foundations will crack within 2 years. Brady's face went red. You're not the owner here, Hank. I make the decisions now. These changes will save us $180,000 on this project alone. And when the foundations fail and we face lawsuits, that $180,000 savings will cost us millions in liability claims. He slammed the revised drawings on my desk. Sign off on these modifications by tomorrow morning or find another job. I looked at those plans, thinking about families who would trust us to build their homes safely. I can't sign something that violates engineering principles and endangers people. He walked out without another word. 18 hours later, I get fired by text message during my wedding ceremony. As the reception winds down and guests start leaving, I excuse myself to the hotel business center and listen to Walter's voicemails. The first voicemail is confused and urgent. Hank, this is Walter. Call me immediately. Brady says he terminated you, but that makes no sense. The Central Avenue Bridge rehabilitation starts Monday, and the Arizona Department of Transportation inspector wants your seismic retrofit calculations. No one else here understands your finite element models. The messages get more desperate from there. By the fifth voicemail, Walter's usual confidence has cracked. Hank, the Tempe School District project is completely stalled. The structural engineer won't approve the gymnasium roof trusses without your wind load analysis. We're facing $50,000 in daily delay penalties. By the 12th message, I can hear panic in his voice. The crew at the Scottsdale Medical Center is standing around with nothing to do. Your load distribution spreadsheets are password protected, and IT can't crack them. We've got 47 workers on the clock with no direction. I sit in that business center chair, my tuxedo jacket hanging on the back, and feel something I hadn't expected. Power. See, over 8 years, I'd built a load calculation system so comprehensive that I could navigate it without thinking. But it was also so technical that nobody else at the company understood it without proper training. Training that Brady had repeatedly canceled as unnecessary overhead eating into billable hours. Every major project we had running used my proprietary calculations. Every post-tension concrete analysis, every seismic base isolation design, every wind uplift calculation for our low-rise buildings flowed through systems only I fully understood. The software integrated ETABZs, structural modeling with custom Excel macros that automatically checked ASCE 7 to 16 load combinations and generated stamped calculation packages. And Brady, in his arrogance, had just cut the company off from its own operational backbone. Claire finds me there scrolling through increasingly frantic messages. She sits down beside me, careful not to wrinkle her wedding dress. I should tell you something, she says quietly. Those Ahwatukee housing specifications Brady wanted you to approve, the ones with reduced reinforcement, I would have failed them during plan review. The foundation design doesn't meet IRC R400 3.1.3 requirements for expansive soil conditions. My stomach drops. That's not just unethical, Claire. That's criminal negligence under Arizona Revised Statutes 32 to 121. He's asking me to stamp drawings that could cause structural failure. She nods grimly. I've been documenting everything through the city's violation tracking system. Brady's been submitting plans with structural modifications that weren't approved by the engineer of record. That's a Class 4 felony under ARs 32 to 122.01. I understand then why she smiled at Brady's firing text. This wasn't a career setback. It was an opportunity that removed me from legal liability while simultaneously leaving the company helpless without my expertise. What should we do? I ask. Claire's smile turns predatory. Nothing, not today. Today we celebrate. Tomorrow we fly to Maui for our honeymoon. And when we get back, we rebuild everything from the foundation up. We return to the reception and dance like newlyweds without a care in the world. By midnight, I have 212 missed calls. Throughout our honeymoon week in Hawaii, the calls continue. I let them all go to voicemail. Walter's messages evolve from urgent to desperate to practically begging. On day 3, while Claire and I are watching the sunrise from our Wailea hotel balcony, Walter offers to double my salary to $180,000 annually if I'll return immediately. I delete the message without responding. 2 days later, he offers a 25% ownership stake in the company. Hank, please. The Chandler mixed-use development is threatening to pull their $12 million contract. The Phoenix VA hospital renovation is on hold. We need your seismic analysis for their medical equipment anchorage calculations. Again, I don't respond. Claire watches me decline these incredible offers without comment. She understands something fundamental about this situation. It was never about money. It was about respect and professional integrity. She says as we're walking along Kaanapali Beach on our final evening, the Arizona Department of Transportation has been talking about hiring an independent consultant to create new verification protocols for bridge inspection reports. Someone who understands structural engineering from the inside and knows what corners contractors try to cut. I turn to her, intrigued. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? I'm suggesting you start your own consulting firm. ADOT would pay handsomely for your expertise in creating systems that catch exactly the kind of safety violations Brady was trying to slip through. The idea takes root immediately. Arizona's infrastructure is aging. Bridges built in the 1960s and 1970s that need seismic upgrades, school buildings that don't meet current wind load requirements, hospitals that need seismic isolation systems for critical equipment. There's massive demand for qualified structural engineers who understand both the technical requirements and the bureaucratic processes. By the time our plane touches down at Sky Harbor Airport, I've drafted a business plan on my laptop. The numbers work beautifully. Arizona has 127 municipalities, most outsourcing their structural plan review to private consultants. The State Department of Transportation alone contracts $45 million annually for bridge inspection and rehabilitation services. 3 days after we return home to our Ahwatukee condo, I register Steel Infrastructure Solutions with the Arizona Corporation Commission. My phone rings within minutes of the business registration going public. Walter Foster. For the first time in 2 weeks, I answer, Hank. Thank God. We're in complete crisis mode. The Central Avenue Bridge project is dead in the water. ADOT won't approve anything without your seismic retrofit analysis, and the city's threatening to assign the contract to another firm. Please name your price. $200,000 salary plus profit sharing. I'm sorry to hear about your difficulties, Walter, I say calmly, but I'm no longer available for employment. I've started my own structural consulting firm. Then we'll hire your firm. Whatever your rates are, we'll pay them. We're billing $450 per hour for senior engineering work. We can match that. I let the silence stretch between us. My first client is the Arizona Department of Transportation. Walter, I'm designing new verification protocols for bridge safety inspections. The sharp intake of breath tells me he understands the implications. If I'm working with ADOT to create better verification systems, I'll inevitably uncover Brady's structural modifications and safety shortcuts. Hank, please. Brady made a terrible mistake. He's young. He was intimidated by your expertise. Let me fix this. Some structures, once compromised, need complete demolition and rebuild. Walter, some foundation cracks go too deep for simple patching. I end the call and turn to Claire, who's been listening from our kitchen island. Is it wrong that felt so satisfying? She shakes her head. It's not wrong to stand up for structural integrity and public safety. The following week, I begin my contract with ADOT's Bridge Engineering section. With my insider knowledge of how firms like Foster operated, I quickly identify vulnerabilities in their current verification process. Contractors were submitting as-built drawings that didn't match the approved construction documents, modifying connection details without structural review, and using substitute materials that barely met ASTM specifications. I create new protocols requiring digital photo documentation of critical connections, mandatory ultrasonic testing of high-strength bolts per AISC 360 table, J3.1, and independent verification of concrete cylinder strengths before final approval. The system catches unauthorized changes to approved plans, especially structural modifications made without professional engineer wet stamps. As part of the implementation process, ADOT conducts a comprehensive audit of recent bridge projects across Maricopa County. Predictably, they find numerous violations in Foster Construction's submissions for the Central Avenue Bridge rehabilitation. Specifically in connection details, Brady had personally modified to save $85,000 in fabrication costs. Load calculations showed he'd reduced high-strength bolt grades from ASTM A3285 to A307, eliminated backup plates required for seismic loading, and substituted A36 steel plates for specified A572 grade 50 material. The modifications reduced the bridge's lateral load capacity by 60%, meaning it couldn't withstand a moderate earthquake without catastrophic failure. The investigation moves swiftly through Arizona's engineering regulatory system. The Central Avenue project gets permanently halted and reassigned to McCarthy Building Companies. Foster Construction loses 4 major contracts worth $23 million total, including the Phoenix VA Hospital seismic retrofit and the Tempe Police Headquarters expansion. Brady isn't just fired. The Arizona Board of Technical Registration suspends his engineering intern certification pending investigation under ARS 32-12-128. His professional reputation in Phoenix's tight construction community is destroyed. Word spreads fast when someone cuts structural safety corners. Nobody wants liability exposure from association with compromised engineering. Foster Construction's bonding capacity gets slashed by 70% when Zurich Insurance reviews their safety record. Their 35-year reputation for quality work crumbles in 35 days. Subcontractors start demanding payment in advance. Suppliers put them on credit hold, and the Arizona Contractors Association quietly removes Walter from their board of directors. Through industry contacts at the Associated General Contractors, I hear Walter had stress-related chest pains and spent 3 days at Banner Good Samaritan Medical Center. Despite everything, that news brings me no satisfaction. Walter had been a solid mentor before his blind loyalty to Brady clouded his engineering judgment. My consulting business explodes. Within 6 months, I have contracts with 8 municipal governments, including Mesa, Glendale, and Surprise. I'm hiring staff to keep up with demand. Licensed structural engineers earning $120,000 annually plus profit sharing. Claire receives a promotion to chief building inspector for exceeding her violation detection rates by 340%. We buy our first house together in North Scottsdale, a solid Adobe construction with engineered foundation systems designed for expansive soil conditions. Good bones and excellent structural integrity, just like our marriage. Then, exactly 1 year after my wedding day firing, a FedEx envelope arrives at my Steel Infrastructure Solutions office in the Camelback corridor. Inside is a handwritten letter on Foster Construction letterhead. Dear Hank, it begins. Some foundations, once damaged, require complete reconstruction rather than surface repairs. I've spent this year rebuilding what Brady's negligence destroyed. The letter explains that Foster Construction has entirely new management structure, new quality control protocols, and new oversight systems mandated by their insurance carriers. Brady completed intensive remedial training through Arizona State University's construction management program and now works as an entry-level field inspector under strict probationary supervision. I'm writing to ask if you would consider a business partnership. Walter continues, not employment, but true equal partnership. Foster Steel Construction, with you controlling all structural engineering decisions and safety protocols. Whether you accept or decline, please know that watching your professional integrity under pressure taught me what real leadership looks like. Attached to the letter is a detailed partnership proposal offering 50% ownership, $250,000 annual guaranteed draw, and complete authority over all engineering decisions. The numbers are compelling. Foster still has $15 million in bonded work capacity and established relationships with major developers like DMB Associates and Shea Homes. I showed the documents to Claire that evening over dinner at our Granite breakfast bar. What do you think? Should I consider this? Claire studies the proposal carefully, her building inspector training evident in how she examines every clause. What would your primary goal be? Financial opportunity, professional vindication, or genuine structural improvement for the community? I think about her question while watching the sunset paint Camelback Mountain orange through our floor-to-ceiling windows. All of those, I suppose, and maybe to see if Brady can actually learn proper engineering principles instead of just cutting corners for profit margins. Then I think you have your answer. I schedule the meeting for the following Tuesday at Foster's Deer Valley offices. When I arrive, the changes are immediately visible. New OSHA safety posters covering every wall, updated quality control checklists at each workstation, and digital displays showing real-time safety statistics for each active job site. Walter greets me in the main conference room, but I'm surprised to find Brady there as well, sitting quietly beside his father. The arrogant smirk I remember has been replaced by something I never expected to see from him. Genuine humility mixed with professional focus. Hank, thank you for coming, Walter says, his handshake firm but his face showing the stress lines that weren't there a year ago. Brady has something he needs to say. Brady looks up, his voice steady but lacking his former cockiness. I owe you a direct apology. What I did was professionally inexcusable and potentially dangerous to public safety. I compromised structural integrity for cost savings, and I fired you for maintaining engineering principles I should have respected. His words carry weight now, backed by genuine understanding rather than rehearsed corporate speak. The 240 hours of remedial coursework and 6 months of field inspection work have clearly taught him what structural engineering actually means. Apology noted, I reply, neither accepting nor rejecting it outright. Walter slides a comprehensive partnership agreement across the mahogany conference table. This company has been rebuilt from its concrete footings up. New quality assurance protocols requiring dual sign-off on all structural modifications. New safety oversight systems with mandatory OSHA 30-hour training for all supervisors. New accountability measures that prevent anyone from overriding engineering decisions. I examine the documents carefully. The partnership structure gives me complete veto power over any project modifications, authority to hire my own engineering staff, and 50% ownership with guaranteed minimum distributions of $300,000 annually, regardless of company performance. Brady is no longer in any management position, Walter continues. He's learning proper construction methodology from foundation excavation through building envelope completion. Every calculation he makes gets reviewed by a licensed PE before implementation. As I review the liability insurance provisions and professional indemnity coverage, Brady stands suddenly. There's something else you should see. He returns with a leather portfolio containing detailed structural calculations for the Ahwatukee housing project. I've been working with McCarthy's structural team to redesign the foundation system properly, he says, opening to pages covered with load diagrams and reinforcement schedules. We increased the rebar to 5 bars at 10 inches on center, added grade 60 reinforcing steel per ACI 318 requirements, and included expansion joints at 30-foot intervals to handle thermal movement. I study his calculations, checking load factors and connection details. His work is thorough, conservative, and demonstrates genuine understanding of expansive soil behavior and seismic design principles. The redesign adds $280,000 to construction costs. Brady continues, but it ensures 50-year service life and protects 240 families from structural failure. Looking at these calculations and seeing actual engineering competence rather than cost-cutting shortcuts, I realize something profound about redemption in the construction industry. Sometimes people can learn from catastrophic mistakes if the consequences are severe enough and the teaching is comprehensive. I'll review your partnership proposal and respond within 1 week, I tell Walter. My terms will include mandatory continuing education for all engineering staff, implementation of my quality control protocols company-wide, and Brady personally completing Professional Engineers of Arizona ethics coursework before any unsupervised responsibility. Walter nods immediately. Completely acceptable, and one final condition. I look directly at Brady. You'll spend 2 years rotating through every construction trade, concrete, steel, electrical, mechanical systems, learning what actually happens in the field when engineering decisions get implemented. Brady's response surprises me. I was hoping you'd require that. I need to understand construction from the ground up, not just the spreadsheet level. 6 months later, Foster Steel Construction completed the Central Avenue Bridge rehabilitation 3 weeks ahead of schedule and $400,000 under budget. Our partnership model received recognition from the American Society of Civil Engineers Arizona section for innovative quality assurance integration. Brady, to everyone's surprise, including mine, excelled in the field rotation program. He learned proper concrete placement from crews who'd been doing it for 20 years, understood steel connection sequencing from ironworkers who'd built half of Phoenix's skyline, and gained respect for the skilled trades that actually turn engineering drawings into safe structures. The entitled business school graduate who fired me by text became a competent junior engineer who asks informed questions instead of making dangerous assumptions. When young engineers join our firm now, Brady teaches them the same lesson he learned the hard way. Engineering arrogance combined with construction inexperience creates lethal combinations. Walter often says that bringing me back as a partner saved Foster Construction, but I think he's understating the transformation. What saved the company was acknowledging that structural safety requires experienced judgment, that cutting corners endangers real people, and that true leadership means admitting when you're wrong. Our firm now employs 34 people, holds $45 million in active contracts, and maintains the highest safety rating from Arizona's workers' compensation insurance pool. We've completed bridge rehabilitations in 6 counties, seismic retrofits for 12 school districts, and foundation designs for affordable housing that will shelter working families for generations. As for Brady's wedding gift that day, it turned out to be exactly what he claimed, a gift, just not the kind he intended. Today, when young engineers fresh from university ask about building lasting careers in construction, I tell them the fundamentals haven't changed. Design structures that protect people, work with professionals who share your safety values, and remember that the strongest foundations are built one proper specification at a time. Some might say I should have destroyed Foster Construction completely when I had the leverage, that my response wasn't harsh enough for someone who endangered public safety, but those people miss the essential point about professional power in engineering. True structural integrity isn't about destruction. It's about building systems strong enough to withstand maximum expected loads while protecting the people who depend on them. And sometimes the best response to "you're fired" isn't revenge. It's "thank you for the foundation to build something better." You've probably faced situations where someone with less experience but more authority tried to undermine your professional judgment. Maybe a younger manager who didn't understand your industry, or a family member in the business who thought connections mattered more than competence. How did you handle it? Did you fight back immediately, or did you step back and create a stronger position? The construction industry taught me that the strongest structures aren't built through destruction, but through careful engineering and proper foundation work. Whether you're dealing with workplace politics, family business dynamics, or professional setbacks, sometimes the most satisfying victories come not from tearing down what tried to hurt you, but from building something better that makes the original conflict irrelevant.